what is most underestimated trigger people don't see coming?
Unexpected temptation. You can prepare yourself ahead of events and when you're going places, but something's going to come into you, come into your personal bubble that you did not expect. And that I started drinking to medicate, if you will.
Do you think alcohol ever affected your judgment or energy or relationships?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to point to when I had stopped drinking and I was probably 3 months sober. I was still doubting everything that I was perceiving, kind of understanding in my own head. And I realized that my gut instinct is naturally really, really good, but alcohol made it really, really bad. A healthy habit that I created is praying.
Oh,
Um, so even though I disappeared from the Catholic Church, I do believe that I have a higher power that has been watching out for me all this time.
yes. That is so true. That is so true. And I appreciate you bringing it up because sometimes I used to feel this is a cultural thing, but it's not. I feel this is more of an experience thing. Like you need to have a belief in something you do, and the energy flows there. The
Yeah.
only thing you need to do it, your heart should be in the game, and then you can
Yeah,
divert the energy in a positive way. That's
absolutely.
my understanding. When you um, have a determination, and then you write things. Let's say, for example, I have addiction problem. I say I am not drinking. I don't want to drink, and you write it or say it out
Yeah,
loud. You are
yeah,
putting it in universe, and it
yes,
definitely helps you to to recovery or to get to your determination process. Like, and it supports you. Um,
yeah,
that does. So you're saying you agree to that, right?
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Affirmations are a huge piece of a
Yeah.
relapse prevention. Praying is talking to God. Meditation is listening. And if it couldn't be more true. When you are meditating and you are letting your mind be blank for that period of time, you are focused only inward. You gain such a clear, concise, precise moment of clarity that you can't get in any other form or fashion.
Welcome to another episode of Precision Pulse. This is your host, Amit Jain. I'm a life science professional by training and awareness geek by heart. Today's conversation sits at the intersection of precision health, recovery science, and leadership. My today's guest is a communication strategist and life coach who has lived both sides of addiction, from dependency on alcohol through recovery in rehab to now guiding others through their own recovery journey. So nice. For our discussion today, this is not just a story about failure, it's about recalibration, about how precision in habits, environment, and self awareness can transform chaos into clarity. Please allow me to welcome Erin Lubien. Erin, welcome to Precision Pulse. We are very excited to have you here.
Thanks, Amit. I'm very excited to be here.
Erin, I remember when you and I were talking a couple of months ago, and we were just chatting about how we are family friends for almost 15 plus years.
Yeah.
And the story you told me, it really resonated. I said, Erin, you need to come on the episode because this is going to create a big level of awareness. So, having said that, could you share a bit about yourself, your background, and what currently you're doing?
Sure. Amit, again, thank you, and to your listeners as well. I'm Erin Lubien. I live in Massachusetts in a tiny little suburb, literally right outside of Boston. I did live in New York for the better part of 12 formative years and born in Massachusetts, moved back to Massachusetts when I was 12 with my family. And I'm the oldest of three. three girls, and lived a pretty normal-ish life. There were things I think about my childhood that kind of showcase who I am today. I was born into an Irish Catholic family where we do a great job of honoring God and then sweep everything under the rug. With that, I formed a career in corporate communications. So everything that we weren't supposed to talk about, I made a profession of talking about. Having done that for 25 years, I have made a transition into a new career. But I'm married. I have a daughter and a yellow Labrador retriever. Um, we're going to be married for 20 years this March, which is crazy.
Great. Oh, congratulations. Years
Thank
is
you.
a big milestone. Well, thanks for providing the background and your life so far. So let's start from the beginning. When you look back, what conditions in your life made addiction possible?
I don't know what made addiction possible other than I knew at age 9 when my babysitter handed me a cigarette and told me to smoke it, um, that I threw up all over the place. So the next day, she gave me another cigarette and I took a drag. And for whatever reason, I felt like I was the coolest thing. I was just like the, actresses and all of the magazines and the supermodels and stuff. And I realized very quickly that I had an addictive personality from the get-go. I smoked until I was 12. I was living in Long Island, New York. We moved to Massachusetts. And who says that they quit smoking when they're 12? But I did. And I got my driver's license, picked up smoking again, and um, finally quit when I was 25. And I thought, all right, I'll never be addicted to another substance because I know that it's like a bad relationship. It's really an abusive relationship. Here's this thing that is killing you. And yet you keep going back for more. And every time that you say don't, it all of a sudden rears its ugly head and is right there.
Yeah.
But I'm here. I'm here for you when you're stressed and when you're angry and when you're happy and when you're sad and when you're lonely and when you're with people and all these things. And somehow well, with a lot of hard work, I gave up smoking, gave up nicotine, and at the same time started running with an international drinking club with a running problem. So that kind of led to a foray of the opening to another substance that I wouldn't necessarily become addicted to until later in life. What I'm trying to think of like my personal definition of addiction and how it came about is um, a sense of belonging in a world where I felt like I was so different than everyone else, and I didn't, and not in a great way. Here we are teaching our children to be unique and how valuable that is, and yet I was trying to find ways to escape, feeling different than everyone else. Um, I think there were some things that memories that I had repressed that didn't come out until much later in life that I was probably hiding from. The human brain has an extraordinary protection ability so that we kind of compartmentalize bad things, crises, danger in our past, and that's exactly what mine had done.
Yeah. Yeah. You brought up few points wherein there is no defined condition which makes the addiction possible, whether it's addiction to nicotine or addiction to alcohol. But I think there are sometimes your personality or peer pressure, or sometimes like, oh, this is a cool thing to do. Let's do it. And then
Yeah.
let's keep doing it. And then suddenly you realize that, okay, I'm not able to control it. And that transition, sometimes people get those triggers, sometimes don't. But you described it really well in terms of how the nicotine intake started and then how you stopped it and then you started again and then how the thing stopped completely and then the alcohol started.
Yeah.
So that brings up my another question. At what point did alcohol shift from something you enjoyed to something that started using you? Like you lost the power of control.
I love the way you phrased that. Definitely when a series of crises happened all at the same time. And it was trauma personified. The Boston Marathon bombing, where we had gone to, it's like our Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big thing that we looked forward to every year, and we would have 100 of our running club friends join us at the 20th mile. And then there was, a bomb that went off that triggered a lot of the anxiety and panic that came years prior from another big terrorist attack where a loved one was involved.
Oh my God.
Um, and then the hunt for the Boston Marathon bomber that was right over our homes,
Yeah.
literally 10 feet off of our roofs. And then a whole series of other things kind of came methodically and quickly that all felt as big as crises. Some of them personal, some of them in the current place and time, and some of them from a history of trauma. And that's really when social drinking probably took more of a back seat, and that I started drinking to medicate, if you will.
Sure.
But it wasn't, I don't think it really got out of hand until probably COVID. When the world shut down, and I am a very social creature, and my husband and I looked at each other like we are going to kill each other if we stay locked up in this house, just the two, just the two of us with our child. And so we started forming happy hours with neighbors in driveways. We were, socially distanced properly. We had masks on when we weren't taking sips, but alcohol use really ramped up. And I know for a fact it wasn't just us.
Sure.
It was when I looked around and all those who we were drinking with on those first nights, we all started going our own ways. And I realized that it was just me who was still drinking the way that we did during COVID. I tried quitting a couple of times. Again, I like to say that I'm a recovering Catholic. Uh, left the Catholic Church a long time ago, but I still abide by certain traditions, one of which is Lent, and it's 40 days typically of sacrificing something in the name of the Savior of the Catholic religion. And that year, it ended on day 10 because that's when I decided that I couldn't not drink anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was 2023. So fast forward to 2024, it was obvious that I wasn't able to do it myself. And that's really, I'd say from 2020 to 2024 were my most significant years of alcohol abuse.
Thank you for bringing up the trauma aspect. That's very important. We were living in
Mm,
Belmont when the
yes.
Boston bombing happened, and I remember choppers just hovering over our homes. And the next day, we saw SWAT police force looking for the suspect because that was a tough year. But again, I heard this from many people. Trauma is a one thing that if you cannot control and you make yourself dependent on any addiction, that will turn into controlling you versus you controlling your pleasure of doing the thing.
Absolutely.
So this is very absolutely helpful, especially for our viewers to understand what they need to be aware of and when
Yeah.
they need to not lose control. were there any early warning signs that became obvious in the hindsight for you?
You mean besides Lent ending 10 days, 30 days early?
Yeah.
Um, I was, so you will hear a lot of people say it took me much more to get drunk. For some of us, it took me a lot less to get to blackout drinking.
Okay.
That didn't stop me from drinking, unfortunately, but I wouldn't remember anything from after the first drink. There were other warning signs. Oh my God. Broken bones, injured limbs, scuffed cars. I can go on and on. I am thankful and grateful every day that that's all I had. Um, I still to this day am amazed that I don't have the same weight of loss that others do who are in recovery.
Thank you. I appreciate, Erin, your candid responses to the
Mm.
questions. One more question I'm going to ask you about this.
Yeah.
Um, do you think alcohol ever affected your judgment or energy or relationships?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to point to when I had stopped drinking and I was probably 3 months sober. I was still doubting everything that I was perceiving, kind of understanding in my own head. And I realized that my gut instinct is naturally really, really good, but alcohol made it really, really bad. I ran a business for, a few businesses for 10 years, basically consulting. And the decisions that I made during that time, the partnerships I made, um, the kind of business deals I made in a sober world, I never would have made. I would have walked away. I wouldn't have been at the table. I wouldn't have been in the room. Like, yes, energy wise, absolutely. Um, I hit a regular 6 a.m. meeting that occurs Monday through Sunday. I never would have done that. I was never a morning person.
Okay.
And I'm able to do and accomplish a hell of a lot more sober than I ever was when drinking.
Perfect. All right. That's very helpful and very consistent all across the research we have done about having
Mm.
impact on the relationship, impact on your decision making, impact on your
Hmm.
lifestyle as well. So I appreciate Erin again confirming that with your own experience. So that was it for our understanding how the addiction kicked in. We want to pivot into the recovery phase, wherein I want to start with a question uh, about denial and then clarity. Was there any specific moment or series of moments when denial cracked and then clarity kicked in?
Mm. Denial cracked along the way, probably more times than I would like to, or that I would have acknowledged in the past. Um, I had questioned it. I have family members who may be undiagnosed alcoholics. Um, and I felt that I was repeating their path. Um, and so every time that crept into my head, which may have been every first drink for
Sure.
4 years, if
Yeah.
not more, that is definitely denial cracking. Clarity didn't really come until probably 2 months into sobriety.
Okay.
I had been through rehab. I was living in sober living. Um, and I had been clean of substances, alcohol, etc., for 2 solid months before it all started clicking. Prior to that, I had believed that I could not have a social life without alcohol. because
Yeah.
all of our friends, family, etc., all drank. Um, I couldn't imagine my child getting married and me not raising a glass of champagne to toast the marriage
Sure.
and the wedding. Um, and there were so many other things that I just couldn't envision without, going back to the nicotine addiction, without that abusive husband next to me, named alcohol or booze.
Yeah.
Um, and at 2 months sober, I started to see a little silver lining on the
Oh,
horizon. So
interesting.
clarity came to me probably a lot later.
Is it very common that clarity kicks in later, or this is case by case?
I would definitely say case by
Yeah.
case. But I can say that you see almost an epiphany in a person who is in recovery and substance free, when they have clarity finally crack through. Most
Mm.
of my clients have gone to rehab, um, or maybe doing it on their own, but had a hospital stint, so they weren't drinking or using drugs. Um, that epiphany comes and you can physically see it.
You did mention about rehab. What was it
Mm,
really like in terms of structure and
mm.
daily discipline?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I was in a clinical facility, not locked up, not chained anywhere. I had my own clothes, my own toiletries, and a nice comfortable bed where they changed the sheets every day, and I had a new
Right.
fresh towel. So it was actually pleasant and all, you know, intensive for all intents and purposes. Um, Rehab was structured in a way that the patients are substance free. There is nothing tempting around. And the day is structured around healing and talking about their underlying issues that all of us have that lead to addiction. And I want to say that with a clarification that not all underlying issues are the same from person to person.
Sure.
Um, that there's a lot more
Hmm.
that's to that. Any other person with my profile um, may not be ever addicted to anything.
Sure.
And yet, somehow genetically or environmentally or all of the above. So we did a lot of work around just understanding that there's a lot more to understand about ourselves and that there's a lot more to dig into because in escaping life and feelings and emotions, I buried a lot of things instead of bringing them to light. Um, there are underlying issues that all of us have that we use substances, whether alcohol, it could be behaviors.
Yeah.
When you look at teenagers who are cutting, um, people who are using drugs, people who are gambling, addicted to whatever kind of behavior or substance there is, there are things that we're escaping. They're typically emotions, feelings, memories, and all those things, or people, things, and places, all those things add up to the right environment for somebody who can be addicted to become addicted. And so in rehab, a lot of what we learned in group, it was a lot of, group work. Um, a lot of what we learned was uncovering what that is, and that these things exist beneath the surface
Yeah.
that we have done a really good job of burying.
Which you should not be burning, right? You basically need to uncover them to get better. Okay. That's
Yeah,
that's
a
interesting.
lot of it, a lot of it is yes. unburying. Sometimes it has to come in layers because the human brain can't take everything.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we have to unbury, we have to process what we haven't.
Yeah.
We have to go through the emotions and feelings to get to the other side with more experience, knowledge, and practice in processing difficult situations
Hmm. Yeah.
and happenings and loss and feelings and emotions.
Could you share one or two small habits or routines that made a surprising big difference early on while you were in?
Eating regularly and consistently. I know it sounds simple, but when drinking, I was not eating regularly.
Ah,
And I would skip breakfast, and not because I wasn't hungry or I was nauseous or I was hungover or, you name it. But waking up within 30 minutes, having a breakfast, it doesn't even matter, for the most part what it is, but something healthy in the first 30 minutes of being awake. Um, that was extremely helpful. The other thing, a healthy habit that I created is praying.
oh,
Um, so even though I disappeared from the Catholic Church, I do believe that I have a higher power that has been watching out for me all this time.
yes. That is so true. That is so true. And I appreciate you bringing it up because sometimes I used to feel this is a cultural thing, but it's not. I feel this is more of an experience thing. Like you need to have a belief in something you do, and the energy flows there. The only thing you need to do it, your heart should be in the game, and then you can
Yeah,
divert the energy in a positive way. That's
absolutely.
my understanding. So this is good. I think our listeners, our viewers will really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Uh, one more question. What was harder for you, stopping alcohol or learning how to live without it?
I would say because in rehab, okay, so the benefit of going to rehab is that they medicate you through your withdrawals so that your body isn't experiencing what it would naturally, which is ugly. So stopping wasn't nearly as hard as learning to live without it. And in learning to live without it, it's the habits around that are event driven. So we just experienced the holidays and I love to cook. And for whatever reason, certain periods of the days of each holiday would be the time that I should be pouring a glass of wine or making this drink. And I found that even this long in, I'm still like thinking about that habit. Like something's missing,
Right.
it's I left my head at home or something. That's how habitual it feels. Um, and when something's really emotional or bothersome, and I feel this inner angst that I used to drink away.
Ah,
And instead, it's like identifying what that angst is about and then processing it.
interesting. All right. So I think the way you laid it out it gives a very clear understanding that stopping was not hard. Living without it was hard. Now we are coming to having a connection of recovery and some of the precision principles. So my first question here is, from your experience, where do you see addiction recovery overlapping with precision health? And let me give you a little bit more context on precision health. Um, when we say precision health, most of the time, that understanding is not all individuals are same. Even if somebody with your demographic, even with your genetics, could
Yeah.
react or respond differently. So that means it's individualized methods of recovery. So So do you see there's any overlap of
Absolutely.
okay. So can you give provide any
Absolutely.
example or a couple of examples for that?
I don't think that there is a one size fits all approach to recovery, that each individual, there are all of these variables, genetics, childhood, trauma, mental health diagnoses, and then you add in any medical conditions, um, and the way that the person lives, whether they're homeless or with a family or alone, what their age is. Um, and once you get all of those things that are on paper, you're you're still not looking at apples to apples
Yeah.
because there's there's just so much trial and error that needs to be explored with each person in recovery. And the more they explore, the more somebody who is thinking about stopping using or drinking, the more that they are exposing themselves to new things and being open-minded and willing to new principles and techniques, um, the more I would think clinicians can diagnose and treat and pinpoint what needs to be done. I'll give you a for instance. I'm a recovery coach in 4 communities here in Massachusetts. And I have one client who gets a monthly shot of Vivitrol, which helps with urges and cravings, and the physical withdrawal, and symptoms of needing alcohol. And I have another client who isn't gets incredibly sick every time he gets a Vivitrol shot. And on paper, they are the same person.
Yep.
Sure, different backgrounds, but they're from the same area. They're the same ethnicity. They are the same in so many different ways. And still, we can't just snap our fingers and prescribe one thing to all because it doesn't always work.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is there are individualized processes or methods to treat any addiction into the recovery, and it's not one size fit all approach. It has to be individualized. Our next segment is from recovery to coaching.
My
Why relapse happen after
Mm.
successful treatment?
That is a complicated question.
Okay.
So I want to say that what I have observed, and I don't have relapse in my story yet. And I'm hoping that I can always say that, by the way, that I do not have relapse in my story yet.
Are, are you are you
Uh,
are you nervous about it?
very.
Okay.
I I worry about how long it will take me to get back to sobriety. I worry if I would do recovery over again or just stay, as I call it, in misery.
Yeah, sure.
Now
So
being on the other side of it, I see what I was like.
yeah.
Um, so I think the things that I work with my clients on are the things that I have observed and kind of induced from what those many people who have relapsed have told me, which is, let me paraphrase for all of them and summarize. There is a series of thoughts, feelings, and emotions that lead to self-doubt, lack of self-confidence, um, beating oneself up, self-pity, on and on. And once you get to that point, if you're not tapping into your support network,
Hmm.
support groups, friends, um, your community, typically that is, people who can drink without an issue, but do understand the nature of addiction. If you're not tapping back into all of your support, our arms or legs of the stool, then you are going to relapse. There is no question.
Yeah.
Um, it is unfortunate, but in working through relapse prevention plans with my clients, I talk about what are the thoughts and feelings and emotions that make you, after you say you will never do it again, that make you go back to drinking or using.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it's probably all the same thing. For each person has their own same thing. And it is somebody said something about me, or somebody said something to me that was negative, or, we can go on and on. But it's that thing and what lets that comment get through your skin
Hmm.
and down to down into your genetics, your addiction piece of your
Sure.
body.
So is it okay to assume that this is not just the case for relapse? Let's say when you are on the verge of being an addict, these
Mm,
trauma, like, somebody said something to you, or somebody
mm-hmm,
insulted you, or somebody hurt your ego, or whatever, these
mm.
could be means to escape from those feelings and get
Yeah.
into the drinking or addiction. So is it a fair connection?
Yes. And I do have to say that some of the things that I've worked on myself and that I work on with clients is do fact checking. Is what they're saying real? Okay, back it up. What happened for them to say what they're saying? And is it a them problem or a me problem?
Sure.
And then, and then peel back the layers. You can't control what others think, but you can control how you respond.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true.
So, yeah, and so that piece of it is so important.
Yeah.
So until you get down to what you can control, which is this tiny little
Hmm.
bit,
Yeah.
um, you know, you could drink, you could use.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell somebody who thinks that they might have a problem other than then put it down. And if you can put it down for a month or 2 months and you don't think about it, you don't think like, yeah, I want to drink or I'm out with friends or whatever it is, and you just say no, thank you. If you can do that successfully and not, hole yourself up in a room,
Hmm.
then maybe you don't have a problem,
Yeah.
but keep an eye on it.
Sure. Yeah. Somebody I know who is who always say when you um, have a determination, and then you write things. Let's say, for example, I have addiction problem. I say I am not drinking. I don't want to drink, and you write it or say it out
Yeah,
loud. You are
yeah,
putting it in universe, and it
yes,
definitely helps you to to recovery or to get to your determination process. Like, and it supports you. Um,
yeah,
that does. So you're saying that you agree to that, right?
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Affirmations are a huge piece of a
Yeah.
relapse prevention
This is
plan.
the word I was looking for, affirmation. Yes, you said it correctly. Okay. All right, another question. Last time when we met, you did mention that um, your medication have reduced from three to one,
I was on 3 different blood pressure medications.
and that by precisely practicing some of the habits or activities around six pillars of quality of life. Actually, you named those. You created that nomenclature
Yes.
for me, and I have consistently seen those six pillars across different disease states, like, neurology or cancer or
Yes.
rare disease, or if or a healthy human being, like, so those pillars of quality of life, I have seen them consistently with a slightly different name, but again, I think the concept, the features, the thinking is same.
Yes.
And you and I will discuss, and I'm going to name them. Physical activity is one pillar, sleep, is another one. Diet is another one, third one. Music or hobbies is the fourth one.
Hmm.
Social life or community is another one. And meditation
Yes.
or prayer or spirituality is the another one. So these
Yes.
six pillars, you did mention that these are critical for
Yes.
addiction recovery as well.
Every
Do you want to?
recovery, no, 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 no. Every recovery wellness plan
Yes,
has those six pillars, and seven is other. Like, what wasn't covered in that? Meditation is one of the things that I think is probably the most helpful. Peace, that didn't become a daily practice until later, in my recovery, and only because I, for whatever reason, I didn't prioritize that.
sure.
um, in my day-to-day activities, but it is a huge component. Spirituality and prayer. And what I've heard is that praying is talking to God. Meditation is listening. And if it couldn't be more true. When you are meditating and you are letting your mind be blank for that period of time, you are focused only inward. You gain such a clear, concise, precise moment of clarity that you can't get in any other form or fashion.
Yeah. I remember earlier today you mentioned about the diet, like you need to have a good diet as well, and that helps you
Yes,
as well. So, would you consider that as another critical pillar of quality of life?
absolutely. Absolutely. I would have put it probably under physical health, but like a lot of things, meditation, I think, is across emotional and mental health.
Hmm.
Um, It could be across physical health when you think about some of the exercise, some of the exercises we do, yoga, tai chi, plenty of martial arts and other activities. It's all about breath. And that goes into physical health. I think that
Yeah.
diet is a huge component. Um, if I were to eat Doritos all day long, I can tell you that my brain would not be functioning at 1,000%. It would probably be at maybe 2%. And
Sure.
who wants a phone with two bars on
Got
it?
it. Yeah. So, if we have to prioritize the most critical to least critical, you did mention meditation, spirituality, physical activity is another one you
Yeah.
mentioned. Sleep do you think like sleep is critical as
Yes.
well? You need, okay.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes. You need sleep. You need consistent sleep. I have an Apple Watch. I look at my sleep score every day.
Yeah, how's it?
And I try to figure out, okay, well, what is it that didn't make it higher than 80?
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Eh, It tells me it's high. I don't know what the average is
Right,
for the
average,
normal
sure.
person,
Yeah.
you know.
And then you mentioned social life as well. Like you need to, like
Oh,
does it
community.
help in, yeah, community? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Social life is incredibly important. For me, I'm a social creature, I said.
We know that well.
Yes. So for me to be physically active and to do some of the things that I want to do, if there's a social component, I am all in.
Yeah.
So it makes it a no-brainer for me, and I have no excuse.
Hmm.
So my social life is incredibly important. Also, I have support groups in various parts of this state because of how I've lived in two communities while in recovery. And both of those communities are huge to me. And
Hmm.
they're starting to overlap with my old friends, in my old social life, but that old social life no longer includes alcohol.
Sure.
Yeah.
Um, all right, now we are getting into the rapid fire. Are you ready for it,
Oh my
Erin?
goodness.
So the first fire is, what is one daily non-negotiable habit that protects your recovery?
Putting my recovery first. Um, okay, let me hang on. Let me think back. Praying.
Okay.
Yep,
Uh,
non-negotiable.
non-negotiable. That you
But
have to.
also, nobody needs to know that I'm doing it. I do it all
Yeah,
the time.
sure. Yeah. But again, I think it's good to know that it's helping you, it's protecting your recovery,
Yes.
and this awareness needs to happen for that. So I appreciate your um, telling us in advance. The second one is, what is most underestimated trigger people don't see coming?
Unexpected temptation. You can prepare yourself ahead of events and when you're going places, but something's going to come into you, come into your personal bubble that you did not expect.
Yeah, that's interesting. One habit with the biggest return on effort.
Pause.
Pause.
Literally pausing. Yes. It allows me to respond instead of react.
That's a nice way of putting it. I like it.
Thank you.
Uh, Best tool for interrupting craving in the moment.
Meditation, because I can use it even briefly to let the thought float by and tap back in to my inner self, to my inner core of
Wow.
breath. And when I finish, I can choose how long from now I determine whether I act upon that urge or craving. Like, do I pick up the phone and phone a friend when that urge or craving is still there? Oh, wait a minute. Think through the drink. What does it feel like? What do I have to do to be at the other end of the drink?
Yeah.
So I have to get dressed. I have to open the back door. I have to tell my husband and daughter that I am leaving the house and they're going to ask where, and I have to lie. And then, and you go all the way through until you're holding that drink and you're just about to put it to your lips and you have that final second thought, and then you still do it, and if you think through it, are you really going to do it? And then all that shame and remorse, guilt, and you lied, and you're back to where you started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, what is one myth about addiction you wish would disappear?
Mm. That it's a weakness. Yeah. It's a
Uh,
superpower. Yeah. Anybody who has an addiction has been through things in life that know that a lot of people who have never known addiction could ever possibly imagine. And I think that we are a very resilient lot and we just got messed up in something we couldn't control.
the last
Yeah.
fire. If somebody is in early recovery, what should they focus on?
Focus on one day at a time. Literally, and if you have to break that down into 3 hour increments,
Hmm.
think about it. You've got to sleep for 8 hours, or at least be laying down for 8 solid hours. So then you're down to 16 hours. What are you going to do in those 16 hours? Break it down and keep it in the day. Like literally schedule out each bit of time. And I think you'll find that your day is pretty complete
Yeah.
before you even you lay your head on the pillow.
Mm. Yeah. That's that's pretty helpful. Um, I think that's it about the rapid fire. All the fires are over. No, well, I think the idea is to still having our viewers or listeners understand that this is something they can pick up instantly. They don't need to be
Yeah.
addicted to any substance or alcohol. If you want to stay healthy, have a good quality of life, these are the good practices you can adopt.
Yes.
So I'm going to pick up a couple of these for myself just to maintain the quality of life. Because I know episode is about addiction recovery, but it doesn't need to be followed strictly for addiction. These
Right.
practices are pan condition practices. It can help you recover from anything. So
Yes. Yes.
I really appreciate, Erin. Thank you for sharing your story and insights with us. Um,
Thank you, Roman.
where can our viewers find you?
You can contact me by email at elubien LUB as in boy, IEN as in Nancy at gmail.com. And that is the only way right now. I'll get there.
Perfect. Thank you, Erin. I know you are on LinkedIn as well.
Yes.
So we'll, is that okay? We add your email and then
Please
LinkedIn
do.
link on the comments with the episode,
Yes.
so that if anybody is listening or watching us, the recording, they can get to have your contact information.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you are struggling with addiction yourself, or if you have a family member or a loved one, they could a friend who you think is struggling and you need some support and help, I am willing to talk to you because there were a lot of people along my way who helped me. This the least I can do is help you.
I echo this, Erin. Having known you for almost 15 years, I know how strong you are, and I
Thank you.
really appreciate how successfully you have been maintaining your recovery. I can 100% vouch for you, anybody, any of our viewers or any of our listeners. If you or any your loved one, or if you're a caretaker or anybody in your network is struggling with this, please do contact Erin. I can assure you she's definitely going to respond to you. Okay. And again, our listeners or viewers, remember, precision isn't about perfection, it's about presence. Every small intentional act adds up to freedom. If you find this episode helpful and meaningful, share it with someone who might need this message. Through Precision Pulse podcast, this has been our absolute pleasure of bringing awareness regarding application of precision practices in different aspects of life. Today's episode was more focused on recovery from addiction. We have brought up a lot of other aspects of life as well, and we'll keep on bringing different aspects, which becomes our pulse. That is the reason we call it Precision Pulse. Until next time, stay intentional, stay aware, stay happy, stay aligned, and finally, stay free. Thank you very much.